Broadcasting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, you're listening to the Low Blow MMA Boxing Podcast.
Jorge Hernandez, the Low Blow, here with professional, now boxer, Heather Jo Clark. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
This fight is coming up pretty soon. How soon is it creeping up? April 28th, you're fighting Chavira Jack. Originally, you weren't supposed to be in this, but whether it be luck or whether unlucky for another fighter, you have this opportunity now on a pretty big card here locally. So how do you feel about that?
I'm ecstatic. Like, honestly, I mean, I've been wanting to fight locally, MMA, boxing, whatever, kickboxing, whatever it may be, and I finally get this opportunity, and it's amazing. I'm so excited.
You started off as a professional hockey player. Now, you're doing mixed martial arts as well, and now boxing. How do you explain, the drive that you have for each one of these sports, and how do you do it?
We do in MMA, you're working everything. And at Jackson's, we have a few boxers, Holly Holm, Naomi Dennison, and Jody Escobel, and they have now all turned MMA as well. They all have 2 MMA fights, actually. And so I've been in numerous amounts of boxing circles for them. And I just loved it. And so, when I moved here in May 2009, right? That'd be 3 years. I started coming here to Danny's, and they were trying to get me fights and stuff like that. And it was before I even had any MMA fights, so it was possibly going to be amateur or whatnot, and it just never happened. So I just kept going in the MMA, and then I just kept wanting to get a boxing fight. I actually fought a boxer named Jennifer Scott in MMA, and when I beat her, I called her out. I mean, not like, hey, Jennifer Scott, fight me, but I was like, hey, well, I beat you in MMA, like, let's box now. But never happened. So I don't know, I just love it. I love every little thing about martial arts. Like, boxing brings one type of challenge, whereas kickboxing brings another type, and jiu-jitsu is another love that I'll do for forever. You don't get those punches that you can do forever. So they all bring different challenges mentally, physically, spiritually.
What was the first art that you start off with? Obviously, you mentioned kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, but what is the first thing that you actually start off with? When
I was 8, I started in karate, in Shotokan karate. My dad was into it, and then he actually used to doctor Benny the Jet's kickboxing fights back in the day in LA, in Van Nuys, and so I used to watch that, and then in high school I would take kickboxing classes and stuff like that. But it wasn't until I was playing Division I hockey in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and I found a little boxing gym. And that was 11 years ago. I took a little amateur boxing fight, and I won. But let me tell you, it was pretty funny. I'd love to put that on YouTube one day for everyone to watch, because it's kind of amusing. It was just like 1, 2, 1, 2, and then my dad's in the corner like, hit her harder, Heather, and I was like, bam, bam, trying to like knock her out with 12 right hands in a row. It was pretty funny. But so boxing was my first thing, and then didn't do it for a while. Went back to school, played hockey, played professional hockey, and then lived in Maui for a couple of years. I did surfing, ran a surf school, did photography, all that stuff. And then when I went back to LA, I actually just kind of got overweight just from not working out, and I got back into an MMA gym just to get back into shape. And then my coach was like, you should fight. And I was like, I'm 28 years old. You really think I should be starting a professional career at 28? And he believed in me, and so I believed in myself, and the journey began.
Now, how does hockey come into the question? You're from Southern California. How does that happen?
Well, I actually, my dad moved us to North Dakota for a couple years. I lived there for 3 years. And so my freshman year, they had a girls team they were starting. And I had tried everything, and I thought, hey, what the hell? I'll try hockey. And I really enjoyed it, and then I moved back to LA the next year, and they had no girls teams. So I played it with all boys, and it was full contact. And I'm playing with guys that are twice my size, getting checked against the boards, and I never gave them the satisfaction of when they would hit me and knock me down, of laying there all soccer players do it, and they're like, oh, poor me. I always got back up, even if I was concussed or whatever. I made it to the bench, and I never gave him that satisfaction. And you can say I got in a few fights.
With the guys?
With the guys, yeah, all the time, actually. And then I ended up playing it in the women's and stuff like that, in Division I, and then professionally in Canada and Switzerland.
How much did you think that actually helped, just playing with these bigger, you know,
I think it
broader
helped a
guys,
lot.
just not just for hockey, but just into the MMA and the boxing?
I think it helped a lot because I mean I knew how to take a hit like physically, and I hit my head on the ice or the boards or whatever it may be. It definitely helped. It definitely helped. It just increased my toughness, you know. So I don't know. My dad always tells me I have a vet mentality, and what that means is it's just kind of like you never give up, no matter what. You know, you're in there. It's life or death, and like I'm fighting to the end. And my dad's a Marine. He did 2 tours in Vietnam, and I just was raised with that mentality, like you never give up. You know, it's like the little train that could, like you know, you think you can, and anything that I think I can do, I know I can do it.
Now, how did Albuquerque come into the question? Was it because of mixed martial arts or something
It was
different?
exactly. I actually came out here with my original coach that was from LA. He came out here to train Rashad Evans for the Machida fight. And he was a Brazilian guy, you know, so Rashad wanted a Brazilian coach. And so I followed him out here, and I stayed at the dorms in Jackson's for 2 weeks, and just really wanted to see like how well I fit in with the team, with the girls, and did I actually have a chance against these girls. And I mean, believe me, I was getting my butt kicked, but I knew that if I was going to do this, the sport was serious, and that I needed to be at the best gym in the world. And Albuquerque, with the high altitude and the sparring partners, and then, you know, I'd heard that they were the best coaches. I moved out here. I didn't think twice. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, now when it comes to the mixed martial arts, did you know we were such a big boxing town?
I didn't. No, I had no idea. It's funny because one of my coaches at Jackson's, Chris Luttrell, who was actually my main corner for most of my fights, he's the one that introduced me to my original sponsor, a guy named Dennis Malouf, who really helped me out at the beginning when I first moved here. And he's one of Danny's financial advisors and stuff. And so he's the one that brought me over to Danny's and had me start working pads with him and stuff like that. And so it's all just kind of, you know, one person led to the next, to the next, and here I am.
Did you realize you were training with a 3-time world champion?
I had no idea. No, I had no idea. I had no idea, and I just can't be more thankful.
Now talk about this fight, April 28th. You're set to say, you know, pretty much, not many of us even know much about Chavira Jack, but how do you prepare yourself for this? You know, it's out at the Santa Star Casino. Yeah. It's going to be a pretty large crowd just based off the promoting that they've actually done. They've done one heck of a job in doing so.
Awesome.
So how do you feel?
You said, no one really knows who this girl is, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can kind of, after the first round, like, you kind of game plan what's she doing, and let's go out there, and, you know, I go into a fight to finish it. I'm not going in there to play games. Like, to me, this is life or death, and I want to kill you. And so I'm going in there, you know, to knock her out as fast as possible. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not going to, like, get caught up in it and, like, you know, get out of my game plan, but I'm going to stick to my basics, stick to what, you know, Pops and Danny have been telling me. You know, they always say champions have jabs. And so, you know, I'm going to use my jab, use my length, I think I have a little bit more experience in sense of just being in the fighting than her, you know. And so I'm just going to use it. I'm going to take it to her. It don't matter who she is. I mean, once we're in there, it's just her and I, and like, I'm going to be the one with my hand raised. That's all that matters. Yeah.
So go ahead and tell the fans to go check you out April 28th.
Come check me out April 28th at Santa Star Casino, my boxing debut, and it's going to be on.